So, you don't like being put into unskippable cutscenes every time you play this godforsaken beta.
Oh my god, did this piece of shit just...
And if you have been on Twitter for the last few days, you understand that the FGC scene has been fighting a lot of the casual scene and the normal people, but you almost understand that you must learn from the scrubs. So I'm going to be the scrub that teaches you at least the very basic of how to get around the Invincible versus stuff, so you don't get hit into unskippable cutscenes every time you play this game. Because I know good and well you skip the tutorial, and you don't feel like pushing buttons to help save yourself. You just want to push buttons and win. That's fine. Everybody in the FGC wants to push buttons and win, but you have to push the right buttons at the right time. That's how it works. But in Invincible Versus, we have 3 different types of defensive measures. Actually, correction, we have 4. We have the counter tag, the push block, counter strike or heroic strike, and also the assist breaker. These are 4 of the defensive measures that helps you to stop being put into these unskippable cutscenes.
Now this is one of the most important defensive measures in the entirety of the game, and it is the counter assist. You keep getting tired of being put into these unskippable cutscenes on a regular basis every time you get into a match because they keep spawning their assists. They keep comboing you into oblivion and you can't seem to react. You can't recover, you can't block, you can't do nothing. You're sick and tired of it. But guess what? This counter assist is one of the most saving graces in the entire game. As you can see in this little bit of a practice match that I'm having going on with my boy Omni-Man, you can see that the computer is using the counter assist as we go along. Every time I try to get him into a combo with either Rex or any of the other characters I have on my team, they keep having this green glow that happens every single time when the assist happens. Now, the assist counter is only 2 buttons. It is triangle and circle. That is if you're using the basic controls and you're on a controller. Those 2 buttons are one of the greatest buttons in this entire game to keep yourself from getting put into a blunder. All it does is just stop the assists. It stops the assist right in its tracks and keeps you from being blundered every single time. But you must understand one thing, you have to time it. You can't just simply push it and hope to God that it works, because if you do it too early, it will fail. If you do it too late, it will also fail. You'll get a red outline on your body, meaning that you failed the counter and you're going to get stuck in this blunder anyways. And now you keep spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, and you have to wait and hope they're using the assist again and that you can counter it properly this time. But guess what? It is easy to do every single time. As long as you wait maybe like a fraction of a second, or at least at minimum 1 second every time the assist happens, you will get the assist down pretty consistently. Now the last time I checked, I believe it does not use any resources while you're using the counter assist, but that granted doesn't really matter because not very often will you get into these blunders because you only can do 3 assists at max, 4 or 5 if you're really good at the combo and you really suck at defending. But let's say the counter assist is not your vibe. This next one might be very helpful, but also you might need to be very restrictive when you're using it. Now the assist counter is essentially something similar to the counter assist when someone's coming at you, but you use it when anyone tries to hit you. So let's say you want to stop their combo right in their tracks as soon as it happens. The counter assist only happens when someone switches to another character. This assist counter, I forgot the official name, I'm probably saying it completely wrong, but essentially you use it when you wanted to stop them in their tracks completely. And the only buttons you gotta push is R2 and L2 or R2 and L1, but R2 is the most consistent one. But wait, you can't keep spamming it in hopes of thinking that you're going to stop every time they hit you. You need to reserve it. Why? Because it uses your meter. You know that meter you uses for your EX moves, you know, the enhanced versions of your supers? Yeah, it uses 2 whole bars. You need to understand, if you use that at least once, you're going to be down 2 bars of EX meter. And yeah, sure, it helps you to get out of blunders, but if you only use that like anytime someone just remotely hits you, you're going to lose 2 bars of meter and you won't be able to use it again until that meter rebuilds. Yes, it helps you, it saves you, but it's like an emergency button. It's like break glass in case you are stuck in such a massive problem that you need to get out as soon as possible. Now, push block is one of those defensive measures that I personally have a personal gripe with. Push block is very useful in a lot of other fighting games like 2XKO and Dragon Ball Z Fighters. However, push block in this game feels not very rewarding to do. As you can see here, push block is just square and triangle. All you gotta do is wait till you're getting hit while you're blocking, and as you hit it, you'll see a golden outline occur, meaning the push block activated. But sometimes for me, when I do it, it doesn't push the character far back as far as I expect them to, unless they are using either EX supers or normal supers. That seems to get the most amount of pushback that occurs when you're blocking. I personally will say use the push block sparingly, like yet it doesn't use any resources while you're playing the game, but I personally believe that push block is only really useful if they are using an EX move and you don't want to get hit with the overhead, or you don't want to get hit with the low or anything like that. Like you don't feel like you're confident that you're going to be able to block everything of the EX move, so you just use it to just keep them away. Don't use it for like basic attacks because it doesn't really push them far, and it doesn't feel like you have any opportunity to actually capitalize on it unless you know how to do it very easily. I may not be very perfect at it because personally for me, I just feel like I haven't gotten a lot of leeway for push blocking someone who's doing like very basic hits or combos unless they're doing a super. Every time I push block someone who's using a super, I've gotten a lot of leeway out of it. So you gotta be, you know, sparing with the push block, but it helps you greatly, especially if you're sick and tired of Monster Girl's armored attacks or Battle Beast's armored attacks. Heroic Strike is also one of the most leastly utilized moves that happens also in this game. So let's pretend you used your assist breaker and you only have 1 bar of meter left, but they're still coming at you full force and you don't know what to do. But there is another button you can push also at the same time that happens to be the same buttons for the counter tag that will help you out of this situation, and it is the Heroic Strike, and an armored attack that is kind of like a counter or something like that that occurs while you are blocking. And when you are blocking, you hit this button, you do an armored strike that will reject the person that's hitting you. It's an armored strike, it's very useful. Now granted, a lot of the times when I use it, it's like when you have like you're in a desperate situation and you can't seem to figure out how to get out of it. You can't do it if you're getting comboed or getting hit. It can only happen while you are blocking, and also only when you have 1 bar of meter. That is a very useful move that can happen if you are sick and tired of getting hit by either armored strikes by Battle Beast or Monster Girl, if you want to help bridge the gap or try to help and hope to God that you can break past them. Or if you're sick and tired of like a Adam Eve blasting from a distance or blasting short range and trying to get you in their, projectile combo, you can block at least 1 or 2 of those moves and do a Heroic Strike and knock her out of the sky, and you'll be doing very good. Now I understand the Heroic Strike is like an acquired taste and some people may not like it. I to a degree am, half and half on it, because sometimes when I do use it, it doesn't really yield anything, because sometimes people are able to block after it. One thing for sure that happens, if you just do it when they're at distance and you block someone who is trying to bait it out, guess what? Most likely when you do it, they're going to block it, and now you don't have any meter to do another Heroic Strike. But as long as you do it while they're trying to get like a insane combo off and you're at least blocking most of the moves, guess what? If you do the Heroic Strike, you will most likely hit them, and then you can continue after that. So if you really like armored moves and you like countering against those kind of combos, especially you're blocking because you think you're constantly negative and you're sick and tired of being in the corner and Battle Beast or Bulletproof or Invincible keep spamming their light, medium, heavy, and you keep getting hit in the corner and you're sick and tired of it, hit the Heroic Strike. Hit the Heroic Strike and you more than likely will be able to get out of the situation, either jumping out of the corner or actually continuing a combo or 2H'ing them and getting them out of the situation, so that way you do not have to be stuck in the corner anymore. But now I have to bring up a conversational point when it comes to combos. A lot of people out here don't realize that combos in this game are built on a meter on the left side. I'm not going to act like I figured this out, but if you watch Max for the beginning part of this part, he recently uploaded a video that talks about this. If when you are having a combo, there's a meter on the left side that builds up as you do it. The more you try to build up that meter, eventually it's going to burst out. If it bursts out, that means you can't continue your combo. Prime example, I like using Rex, but Rex doesn't have a lot of versatility in his combos because he's more of like a mid-range kind of guy. But as you can see at the very end of this combo right here, it's very close to bursting out. But if I were to do something like this and I switch, it drops the meter down. Meaning that if you feel like you've been able to try and continue a combo but you haven't been able to do it, need to watch that meter. If you're not been paying attention to that meter, then your combo is going to flop. But then there's something I actually want to bring up, because Max Talk doesn't really talk about this. He talks about this because there are flyers. So there's something that a lot of people that I've realized in a lot of these online matches don't use specifically, and that's your EX dashes. So your EX dashes helps you to get across the screen very quickly. Like you see Alan right there, he just went almost damn near full screen with just the EX. But if I reset and use Alan again and I'm in the back and I just do a normal dash, I'm not going very far, barely any distance at all. It's almost the same distance as a special, just a little bit further, but you know, whatever the case may be. But if you do the EX, I right in Omni-Man's face right there. Like, man is sniffing my eyeball right now. It's right there. But a lot of these other characters, like Robot or Rex, specifically, let me make sure I can do this correctly. Rex doesn't have that. Now, Rex does have something cool. He does have a wall jump when he's at the end of it, when you dash off of a wall. And it's very useful to get out of the corner if you feel like you're about to get pressured. But there's nothing really, anything out of that. There's no EX version of that. The only EX dashes you have is on the ground. And it's basically you're sprinting. But the only difference with Rex is that you basically have some other fighting options when you are sprinting. So basically you sprint and then you can basically like this, you do a slide. Hold on, let me make sure I do it right. So run, slide, boom. And then you can continue off of that. So you go slide down, I messed it up, but you can do slide down, 2H combo. That's what I've been doing sometimes, because people keep getting caught by the second low sometimes, or the first low if they're not, you know, protecting their ankles. Protect your ankles in every fighting game. Always do that. But one thing I always thought it was very difficult for me for Rex is like when I'm dealing with flyers like Omni-Man and Mark or any of those other characters, I can't exactly bridge the gap very easily without me having to do like relatively zoning techniques, which, you know, personally I'm not the biggest fan of zoning. I like Rex because of the, you know, the fighting capabilities that he has. I like just how his character moves for the most part. But the problem with that is that he aims to kind of get people away from him because his heavy pushes him back, and if I do his down special, it knocks him a little bit away, a tad bit. So basically I'm trying to do a kiting kind of technique, you know, like I'm trying to keep you away and at the same time bridge the gap so that way I can get close to you, hit my combo, do this, and then EX backwards so I don't have to get caught into anything that you have to do, whether it's a wake up super, a wake up ultimate, whatever the case, so I can, you know, stay out of your range. And as long as I keep doing that, I should be able to get out of it. But if you're basically being a flyer, like say Alan, you can do something, and this is what Max has shown before. You can do dash cancels. Now, I'm not very good at it, so I might not be able to show it in an example, because it's a good way to help actually keep some of your combos going if you are struggling to maintain the bar, because I believe it resets every time that you do it. So I believe, yeah, like you see, it drops down a little bit. It drops the meter down a little bit if you try to do it and try to continue somewhere. I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to be able to present it well. So if you want to see a better explanation, go to Max's channel personally. But one thing for sure is that it can be useful if you are, you know, struggling to keep something going. You want to like continue a combo, you want to look cool in the midst of your fighting, like I just did there. I just kind of did it right there a little bit. I'm not doing anything too crazy, but then I just, you know, burst it out of my meter so it doesn't go anywhere. But for sure, if you want to actually get those combos off, you gotta watch your meter. You gotta go throw in your assist in there, because it helps make it lower as well. You just give it a good little tap, and then you run in there, boom, do one thing right there. But because keep in mind, when you're doing your supers and you're doing like a basic attack here, their assists are going to be just that one simple attack, and it helps you to keep something going without you having to worry about your meter going down. Now obviously if you're not hitting them and you're just doing your supers, you just get all whatever variant of super that they have active at the time. You know, there's robots forward super, then there's robots what is it, the down super, I believe, or down special. I forgot which one it is. I might be doing it wrong, but whatever, you know, I'm doing a controller type beat, so I'm not exactly really good at presenting. I'm not a good example. But if you're hitting them and you just tap it, boom, you get a little bit of a little extender right there. drop Alan down a little bit, maybe not there, but you know, I'm still trying to figure it out as I go along. But the main reason I wanted to do this video is because a lot of people have been going on online and thinking that they can just hop into this game, combo their life away, and expect them to win. That's not how this works. A lot of these characters in this game, you don't want to get comboed to your life, but you have to look at the defensive measures. A lot of these defensive measures, even just something as simple as dashing, you know, like if you're dashing backwards and forwards, even if you're using a character that doesn't fly, it basically means that you need to just stay out of their reach and figure out a way to, you know, work in your favor. Because with Rex, I win a lot of matches with Rex because I just know how to, you know, sometimes bridge the gap a little bit easier outside of just, you know, just doing the, you know, same old spammy range zoning type of technique that, like, yeah, sure, it can work, but that's not fun for me to play, like, unless, you know, I'm really like struggling, like if I feel like I'm gonna like lose and I need to just, you know, get the win as best as I can, then sure, I'll just throw a little bit of stuff there. But you also need to know the variations of your techniques. Like Rex, I can, you know, tech, you know, flyers, I can tech grabbers, I can do all those different things, and meaning that I can just, you know, break through whatever nonsense you want to throw at me. Now, one thing for sure a lot of people will do is that if you feel like you can just zone your butt away in this game, you must understand that eventually people are going to catch on to your tactics very quickly. So what they're going to do is just basically send in their support as like a meat shield. This is like a pseudo fifth defensive measure that you can do. So if you feel like someone is like trying to gatekeep you or try to zone you out, like whether with Robot or with Eve, one thing you can do is basically, you know, using your EX dashes. Because take a look, for example, Robot's thing, the only problem you have is when it gets when you try to get close to him, the rockets are going to be at the highest peak. So your best bet is to jump and then hope to God that the bottom rockets don't hit you, and then EX across, because he still has to wait for it, because he can spam it, but you can still break the, you know, mark between it. Or what you can do is do the heroic strike that I showed earlier, because the heroic strike is something that will 100% save your life in those cases, because you will have some armored defense when you're doing it, and also the chances of you actually getting close to them is a lot higher. And the only last thing when it comes to figuring out how do you want to use your character is just learn how their moves work. Because one thing for sure that I realize in this game, if you want to like try to figure out how your combos work, is that you're going to probably spam a little bit of buttons. And a lot of people have been having this like critique of the game, which is completely understandable, because I have the same feeling as well. You're going to be a little bit spammy, which kind of, you know, is just how it is, because sometimes you just want to figure out what connects with your character. Like take Alan for example. One of these things that you can do is you can use the EX dash and go down, and then you just 2H them into oblivion. And some of these characters you can do the same thing, you knock them down. Well, no, Robot's not a good example, but like some of these characters are not a good example, but Alan, basically you can 2H, knock him, hit him one time, go down, hit him one time, go down, hit him one time, go down, and you can just rinse and repeat, and you hit your roll, and then boom, you get a good amount of damage with little to no brain power without you doing too much. Now, I don't know if this is something going to be maintained in the final game when it actually fully releases, but in the grand scheme, you don't really need to do anything crazy to win this game. And also, just figure out what works and what doesn't work. You can't just be out here being like, let me hit the light and the heavy and the thingy. Like a lot of people, like, let me go back to Mark really quick. One of the things a lot of people I see do with Mark specifically, they like to hit this special right here repeatedly. And yeah, sure, it works. Like, especially if you do the EX, like, yeah, sure, you get the good old, you know, fancy attack, but it doesn't really do anything after that fact, because if I decide to, I don't know, just hit my medium and neutral you out or push block you, guess what? You're vulnerable. So you spamming this the whole time doesn't help you in any capacity, especially if you're in the lower ranks. Because like right now my LP is like 7k. I can probably get to 8k or 9k if I really wanted to, but I was just having fun with the lab and trying out different characters and going around with that. I didn't really care for the whole Beast title thing. But one thing for sure is like characters like Mark, you can't just be like hitting the the light button like repeatedly and hope to God you're gonna hit someone. You gotta do what you gotta do to get to them, because one of Mark's really good neutrals is his low and his natural medium. His neutral medium and his low medium are like really good to help piece up your character. Or hey, guess what? What you can do is you can basically spam it a little bit like that, you know, go neutral low, neutral low, neutral low, and then just keep doing that and hope someone breaks. Now if they're blocking, it kind of doesn't work, but if you want to just mix them up a little bit, you can do something like that. Now unfortunately it kind of builds up your meter a lot, so it's not the funnest thing in the world to do. So if you don't want to like mess up your meter, I would not exactly suggest it. But if you really want to just mix them up and see if they will mess up, do something like that and then you'll be good. And these are just very simple combos. You don't have to do anything crazy to win these matches. As long as realistically you know how to do the defensive measures, you know how to do the push block, you know how to do the heroic strike, you know how to do the assist counter, which is one crucial aspect, because a lot of the big aspect of winning this game is using your assist and then continuing your combo, getting in the cutscene. That is the very basics of how fighting games work, especially tag fighters. If you're in a tag fighter, bro, you're going to run into this. There's other games that have similar mechanics, like let's say an anime fighter, let's take Dragon Ball FighterZ, or even let's not like Dragon Ball FighterZ, My Hero Academia's All Justice. They're tag fighters. Your goal is to switch to your character and trying to continue and do as much damage as you possibly can. You cannot just expect to be in these games, especially fighting games, and not expect someone to put their hands on you. And this is the final part of the video that I want to talk about, that I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are new to fighting games are probably not going to like me hearing me say, but this is what you have to understand. Fighting games is relatively a niche gaming sector. In this game, you have to a degree, like punishment. You have to, because in the first time you try a fighting game, you're going to be a baby, you're going to suck. That is how it works. If you want to get better at these fighting games, you go to practice, you try different combos, or you look at YouTube videos, or you don't even have to use YouTube videos, just trying to figure out what works for you. Because sometimes I don't even look stuff up unless I feel like I hit a wall and I can't figure things out. Like recently with the Invincible versus stuff, I figured out some of the stuff on my own. That's why I was able to get to higher ranks, and that's why I was able to beat other people, because some of them just don't know some of the other mechanics that can work. They're probably trying to figure out how the hell that I got around their spamming or got back around their mark spam or whatever the case may be, and I was just like, bro, I just hopped around you, or I just EX dashed behind you, or I just push blocked you, or I did these things and I just opened you up just a little bit just so I can continue whatever damage I needed to do. Now, am I the most perfect at this game? No, obviously not. I'm talking as if I'm trying to speak from the perspective of someone who is not super well versed in the FGC scene. I'm still, learning as I go along. These are like the recent fighting games that I've been getting into and trying to understand them, but I've been feeling them starting to click and spark in your brain noodles a little bit. And I don't want people to go into these games discouraged because they're losing, but understand, if you want to try these games and get into these games, you have to be okay with losing. You have to be okay with being put in a blender repeatedly and consistently, because that is how these games function. That's how these games thrive. If you don't, you're not gonna have fun. I have a bunch of fighting games on my computer and on my PlayStation that I consistently play, that I have no problem playing because I don't mind losing and I don't mind winning. Even if my goal is trying to be in the higher ranks of a certain game, like say Sparking Zero, even though it's not like a fighting game, it's an arena fighter, it's still something where you want to practice. You figure out the character, you figure out what buttons to push, you figure out how to do vanishes, you figure out how to do super counters, even though they may not be inconsistent, whatever the case may be. But in these games, like specifically these games, you have a better chance of winning, especially for people who are new to fighting games, if you just learn it. You just can't hop in and just quote unquote relax and be casual and just expect to just push buttons and win. If there was like the story mode and like other offline modes, that's a different story. You can probably figure that out, and then you can reduce the difficulty to however you want and you just push buttons and win by all means. But you must understand, when you go online, you're going to be running into people who take pride in the fact that they're really good at these games. You can't just pop in and think, oh, they're gonna go easy on me, I can just win and have fun and move on. Bro, it's fighting games. They're gonna pull up and they're gonna put belt to ass, and if you can't get out of it, or if you can't defend yourself, guess what? People are 100% going to sit you down and just leave you hanging. They don't care how you feel about it. They don't care how bad you feel. Like, that's just how it is. But yeah, that's all I have to say about right now, about giving different tips about the Invincible versus beta. Because I, for sure, at first was a little bit on the fence about this game, because there are some things I will say are a little bit broken. Like, prime example, take someone like Monster Girl, for example. I'm surprised I don't see a lot of Monster Girls when I was going through the ranks. I do see them, but a lot of them don't utilize her as much as they really could. Monster Girl is one of those characters who can tank a lot of damage and push you around and throw you around and bully you whenever she wants. She can do that all she wants, and you just have to take it. You can't just get mad and sad when, you know, you get grappled left and right that, you know, Monster Girl's around. She's another example of a character who has a EX dash that, because she's not a flying type, but guess what? I don't see people using her EX dash, because guess what? It's armored. So if you feel like someone is going to hit you with something with like a projectile or something, guess what? EX dash, EX dash, EX dash, heavy, boom, hold heavy, boom, smack them around. That's it. You don't even have to do anything crazy. You don't have to do anything crazy. You just hit them with that, boom. Like, even when I was trying to figure out how to do something there, like, I'm being stupid. I don't really use Monster Girl, so I don't really know, like, whatever, like, combos I can work with her that great. But, bro, you can't just be out here just not learning the characters that you work with. You have to look at the move list. You have to figure out how some of these mechanics work with your characters, because Monster Girl, I can understand why Monster Girl is kind of broken, because listen, bro, I'm not the biggest fan of like some of the armored attacks in this game, because sometimes I just feel like they're just so egregious. Like, I like the fact that there are some armored moves in the game, but I would prefer the idea that it's similar to like characters like Braum in 2XKO, where you get one free hit off me. So if you hit me once, depending on what move I'm doing, you can hit me, but you can't. I don't like the idea of being like, oh, I can be armored for a persistent amount of time, and you can't break it unless you do a very specific move, and they don't really tell you which ones you can do. If they can tell you, then fine, I don't really care, but then they need to make it more viable to like, oh, if someone's armored, and say if someone wants to spam, because I know a lot of Monster Girls, when I run into them, they just spam either, not necessarily this, because they do this move, but they don't hold it down, but they spam this special, the EX version of this, because it's armored. All you gotta do is just push buttons or the dive down. Even with the grab, like, they don't really use it. They're kind of just trying to see like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can run around and smack him around with the armored Monster Girl. I'm surprised. Like, if I were to use Monster Girl in this game, I would get more, you know, rage quits, 100%. Like, I guarantee if I was really trying to figure out Monster Girl, this game would 100% have a lot more rage quits in my case, because she's literally built to be one of the most, not even like the most annoying, but the most like tankiest character outside of all of them. Like, yeah, you can have Omni-Man and do his EX, you know, down special, and then do that repeatedly. And even with Omni-Man, Omni-Man, this move is armored, and his medium is armored also. It's not super armored, but it's armored also, and I don't see people doing that either. So I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, are you guys actually learning these things? No, you're not, because you could have been having so much more fun mollywopping people if you sit down and read your stuff and push your buttons properly. Don't be out here just trying to button mash and hope to God that you win, but whatever the case may be, you know, whatever. Oh, I guess I really forgot to talk about this other defensive aspect. It's not really a defensive thing, it's more on the offensive side of things. I forgot to mention this because I'll probably put this in the middle of the offensive section, so I probably forgot this. But essentially, the pushback button. I don't see people doing this very often, surprisingly. Like, especially when I'm fighting people who, like, sometimes they throw it out because they do, but like even then, it doesn't really cost that much meter. Like, yeah, it costs meter, but not a lot. It costs the meter like where you use for your specials and stuff. But as long as you're using it, like if someone decides to have like a weak Omni-Man and you're sick and tired of their Omni-Man because their Omni-Man is probably like their best character for whatever reason, guess what? If he switches them out, bring him back. And it's all directional. So hey, you want the Monster Girl on the other team to come back, you do forward. If you want the Omni-Man on the other team to come back, you do back. So you have him back. So if he was low before, you smack him around a little bit. Doesn't matter how crazy it may be. Now, is it perfect? No, because I have run into problems where I, would switch him back, but I wouldn't necessarily be positive in actually beating them. I would have to do something, either like a grab or a projectile or something, depending on they're not ready for it. Because I've had matches where I switch them back and I would try to jump in on them as soon as they pop in, but it doesn't exactly help me per se. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So it's probably better to, like, as soon as you switch them back, they're most likely going to be blocking. So if you want to make sure that the person doesn't, block too much or try to get out of it, wait for them to do that and just grab them. But then, as you can see there, you kind of have to wait. You kind of have to wait a little bit because there's a little bit of a segment where they're kind of like low, so you can't exactly do that. I'm wondering if that's just Monster Girl. Is that just Monster Girl? Okay, that's just Monster Girl. Monster Girl is just too high. That's crazy. I didn't think that was a thing. That's actually insane. Oh no, never mind. No, it's not just Monster Girl. If you do it too fast, you're not gonna hit it. So you kind of have to pause it and hope you get it while they're blocked, because they're most likely going to be blocking by the time they switch back, if they're not trying to spam a light or medium or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that is for me the basics you need to understand to succeed in the Invincible versus beta, or when the game releases, because I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff is going to maintain. If you want to do well at this game, if you incorporate even just half of what I just said from my video, from Max's video, from videos on Twitter, from people using combos, and you learn these different things, guess what? You will 100% win more matches. And you don't have to be the best, because I understand some people wanted to be in the top 20 to be in the credits of the game, but guess what? It's not super easy, especially if there's other legacy fighting game people playing this game and trying to get to the top as well. It takes time. But yeah, that's all I gotta say today about the Invincible versus beta. Right now, I most likely will probably be buying this game. I was uncertain a little bit before, but it started to grow on me as I did more. I might be able to enjoy the game when it fully releases. I think I want to see more of the characters first and see whatever they do before the game fully releases, even though it releases like closer to the end of this month. So it's gonna be a little bit harder at that point, but either way. And if you did like the video, so that the video does better, so that way it can help me out to reach out to those people who are still struggling with this game as it's still open. That is if you still have it downloaded, because today is the last day. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Leave a comment for any other fighting games you want me to play on this channel, because I am planning to do a series of different fighting games and also indie games, because I did not forget some of the other series I started months ago. So I'm going to start uploading those videos as well. But yeah, that's all I got to say today. It's your boy Kadu-kun. I'll see you guys next time. And peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadu-kun. Kadu-kun.
Yeah, welcome to the channel.